The topic that I've chosen to research for my project is vertical alignment in math and how important that is for both students and teachers. So the first article that I summarized here was talking about targeting either conceptual or procedural fluency, conceptual understanding or procedural fluency based on what a student struggled with. So the design that this article used was kind of interesting. It was called the contraindication design. And so what they did was they actually targeted with intervention the area which the child needed less first, and then they targeted the area that the child needed more. So if a child needed procedural understanding more, they actually did the conceptual understanding first and then the procedural fluency second. And what this found was that when the non-needed was targeted, there was very little growth in procedural fluency. But when the needed was targeted, there was a significant growth in their procedural fluency. Unfortunately, this study did not measure the conceptual understanding after the initial testing, so some more research could be done into that, whether conceptual understanding also increased with the targeted interventions. Another issue that was raised here was that this was all done with one-on-one tutoring with a few students and not in a classroom atmosphere. So that could be an interesting further research. The other article that I looked at was talking about fractional understanding and how that predicts future math achievement. And they did find in their research, they used longitudinal data from both the US and the UK, and they found that indeed a deep understanding of fractions did predict future math achievement. And something that they found that they weren't expecting is that the understanding of division also predicted this future math achievement. They found that as students were doing high school math, even though more algebra content was necessary for high school math achievement, that the algebra knowledge actually predicted the achievement less than the fraction and division knowledge did. So that was an interesting piece of information. As I continue my research, I want to look more into the idea of conceptual understanding of procedural fluency, because I think that this is a really important connection for kids to get to start to create the vertical alignment and create that understanding at the base level. So an article that was in my reference list that I plan to look at is the role of conceptual knowledge and math procedural learning. And the National Math Advisory Panel report from 2008 was also referenced in both of my articles, and so that's something I'm definitely going to go back and look at more to use in my research. As I look further into vertical alignment, there were a couple articles that I got in my reference list that I plan to look into. School readiness and later achievement was one of them, and the other one is long-term predictors of achievement in math and reading, and so looking more at what helps to predict success. I also want to look into possibly like teachers' math understanding and how that also affects that achievement, and also teachers' understanding of the links between their grade level content. So if teachers really understand the idea of a vertical alignment and how that affects it as well.